When we talk about project management in the world of the PMI, we begin to talk about process groups of project management. Process groups of project management are simply groups of processes that are used to manage a project. You could also look at these process groups as stages throughout the course of the project that are needed to effectively deliver the project's results. These stages are initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing. And this is really what we're going to be diving into, but I'll cover this at a very high level. There are 5 groups of processes that are used to initiate the project, plan the project, execute the project, monitor and control the project, and close the project. IPEMC. I prefer extra money in cash. That's a mnemonic that will help you remember the 5 process groups. These are very important to remember. If you understand what these 5 groups of processes are, it will be a lot easier for you as you study project management. So really, project management is the art and science of effectively initiating a project, planning a project, executing a project, monitoring and controlling a project, and closing a project. What do these terms actually mean? What does it mean to initiate a project? To initiate a project means to authorize a project. A project needs to be authorized and backed up by management approval. Planning a project means you are putting together a roadmap or a plan for how to accomplish the project's objectives. This plan could be a one-page plan on a small project to hundreds of pages long on a large project. A plan could be documented in a simple Word document or an Excel document. When we talk about executing a project involves carrying out the plan. It's one thing to have a plan, it's another thing to execute the plan. An example of executing a plan would be the plan documents that on the 1st of May, work should begin at Plant B. So on the 1st of May, when you're executing the project as a PM, you ensure that work does indeed begin at Plant B on the 1st of May. That means getting up from behind the desk and ensuring that the work is in motion, and if it's not in motion, carrying out the necessary steps to get the work into action and ensure that the work is on schedule. Project management is an action-driven responsibility. It's all about action. So once you've planned, the last 3 process groups are all about taking action. Executing is about action. Monitoring and controlling the project, ensuring that the project is going according to plan, and if it's not, taking action, that's monitoring and controlling. Closing out the project is ensuring that the project has indeed met all of the requirements, making sure that the product, be it a house, be it an installation of some equipment, whatever it is, ensuring that that deliverable has been produced, and closing out the project following all the necessary steps. A key step in closing out a project is ensuring that lessons learned have been documented. That means making sure that all the things that went well are documented so that you can repeat them on future projects, and ensuring that all the things that didn't go so well are also document it. Those are the 5 process groups at a high level. As we proceed through this course, we'll talk about these 5 process groups in more detail, and you'll realize that these 5 process groups go into a lot more detail. So let's think about your project management or work that you do today. Can you relate these 5 process groups to things that you do on a daily basis, short-term projects? Maybe they're short-term domestic projects, personal projects. Think about when you first of all decided you were going to embark on installing internet capability into your house, or maybe you were going to install a dish, or maybe you were going to work on your landscape or do something different to your house, maybe some improvements. At that point, when you decided to do it, you can liken that to initiating. Planning would mean you're thinking about how you're going to get that endeavor accomplished with planning. And then when you think about executing, that's the work being carried out, whether it's by you or by people that you employ to do it. That's executing. Checking the work and making sure it's going according to plan and making adjustments is monitoring and controlling. And ensuring that everything that you envisioned is done is closing the project. Those are the 5 process groups, and that is the core subject matter of what we'll be talking about throughout this course. So I talk about that on page 8 and page 9. And on page 10, we talk about something called knowledge areas, which I'll be talking about in chapter 3. Something else to point out to you in this upfront chapter is the fact that in an organization you could have multiple projects, concurrent projects that are happening at the same time. We refer to these concurrent, multiple, interrelated projects. Interrelated is the key word. We refer to these multiple, concurrent, interrelated projects as a program. So if you've ever heard the word program, for it to truly be a program, you want to make sure that they are multiple projects, at least 2 projects that are interrelated. Interrelated by various means, maybe by means of the resources working on the project, or the location of the project, or the end customer of the project. But most importantly, these projects need to be linked by their end goals. So if you have 2 projects, not only could they be interrelated in those ways I just talked about, they should also be related in terms of their final objective, their final goal, what you truly want to accomplish. So project A and project B must be interrelated. For example, if a company says, we want to increase the level of our technology, we want to increase the way we maximize technologies. So project A is a project to improve the company's network. Project B is a project to improve on the company's hardware. Maybe project C is a project to improve on the company's in-house software that could be enhanced. So project A, B, and C, 3 different projects that are interrelated. So still on project management, we're going to be talking about what a program is right now. If you look at the screen, you'll see what is a program. Very often you hear the term program. What is a program? Well, a program refers to a group of interrelated projects managed in a coordinated way to obtain benefits and control that may not be available by managing them individually. So let's talk about a project, and we've got our budding film directors in the house doing a wonderful job. So let's talk about a film project, right? Let's talk about 5 film projects. Maybe you've got project 1, you've got project 2, project 3, project 4, and say you've got different locations. Let's say these are different locations where we're actually working on 4 projects
right? They're all film related, but they're all going towards the same end goal. You could be filming 4 different locations. At the end of the day, they're all going to tie in to one huge program. So regardless what the filming is for, we know we've got 4 locations. So we've got a project manager, right, over location 1, project manager location 2, project manager for location 3, and a project manager for location 4. Now, program management refers to managing all of these as one entity, which is a program. You would have what we call a program manager here, right? And a program manager would be managing all of these project managers' work. At the end of the day, you've got a program consisting of 4 projects. Now, the reason why we're doing it like that is because we're trying to obtain benefits and control. For example, if something went wrong on a location and that would impact location 2, then we need to take note of that. We need to manage it in a coordinated way. We can get benefits and control from doing it that way, as opposed to managing them ad hoc, letting project 1 be on its own, project 2 on its own, without any central coordination from the program manager. So really, that's what your program management is, right? Benefits and control, those are the key words that you cannot obtain by managing them individually. Program management is the coordinated management of 1 or more projects to obtain benefits and control. A program will always have projects. Projects 1, 2, 3, and 4 belong to that program. But a project may or may not be part of a program. So let's draw this over here. We can look at the whiteboard. Say we had a project 5 over here. Project 5 could exist on its own. Project 5 doesn't need a program to be called a project. It doesn't need a program. But on the other hand, this program, when you look at what a program is, a program needs to have projects, right, to be called a program. So going back to the screen, that's all we're talking about here. A project may or may not be part of a program, right? Programs focus on project interdependencies. Interdependencies and the optimal approach for managing all associated projects. Resolving constraints affecting multiple program projects. Say there are constraints affecting projects 1, 2, 3, and 4. We need to manage that in a coordinated way. The program manager will need to resolve constraints.